Football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have a game to recap finally. Hey, all right, and some other stuff to get into today, so let's just get straight into the video. Starting off, of course, we're talking about the Falcons Lions preseason game recap. So there was some stuff that went down, some very alarming things that happened in this game, but let's first talk about some of the other stuff. So, first of all, the quarterback situation. I think that was the big thing everyone was getting ready for. Hendon Hooker was starting over Kyle Allen to begin this game, and a lot of people thought maybe this is the change. Maybe Hendon Hooker is going to step up if he needs to be put in this position. And it didn't look like it. I don't think Hendon Hooker is it, guys. Hendon Hooker had the opportunity to go out and do it and was able to move the ball better than he did in the first game, the Hall of Fame game, but ultimately he did turn the ball over twice with 2 fumbles, which not good. Not good if you're trying to prove yourself, right? Kyle Allen did eventually come in though, and late in the first half, and proceeded to move the ball. He finished the night 7 of 8 for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's compared to Hendon Hooker's 7 for 10, 38 yards and 2 fumbles. So a lot better stat line there. Might be over for Hendon Hooker, unfortunately. Not sure if Kyle Allen is either the correct answer, though. It might be time to start looking for other market guys. Maybe Carson Wentz. I know some of you guys were telling me in the comments Carson Wentz would be a good option to go to. And I think, he's got the experience. He's been to big games. He knows how to win. I think absolutely Carson Wentz could be a good option, just a 1-year signing, while we look in the draft next year for some other quarterbacks to maybe look at. Who knows, right? This is definitely a interesting situation we're in, because I have all the faith in the world in Jared Goff, but gosh, God forbid something happens to Jared Goff, and he hasn't so far. He's taking good care of himself, and our own line is taking good care of him. But I'm just worried that when it comes to it, if we don't have a quarterback to lead this offense, our team is just going to be in the dirt, and that's very, very scary for Lions fans right now. But I think honestly we got to look in the market here. I don't know if Kyle Allen or Hendon Hooker are really going to be the saviors, the next guys up, right? Um, I think Kyle Allen definitely had a better showing. He was finding guys for deep connections. He was finding some of our rookies for good connections, and then the 2 touchdowns is always good as well. But again, it's a preseason game, and you can't ever get your hopes up that much when you're playing other backups. So there's that. Let's just get this out of the way, the elephant in the room, talking about the Maurice Norris injury. He suffered a head and neck injury on a high-speed collision that required an ambulance to come and take him off of the field. Came straight onto the field, grabbed him, took him out, and then the 2 teams opted to forfeit the rest of the fourth quarter, there was a lot of time left in the fourth quarter. Lions were up by 7, and both teams were like, nope, let's be respectful and let's not do it. So they decided to, gather around in the center of the field, and they were all holding hands, praying for Maurice Norris, because it didn't look good. It didn't look good. He tried to make a tackle on, I believe, the running back, and just his neck snapped back, his head snapped back. He wasn't moving. Everyone was worried if it was something a lot worse. He got carted off or he got driven off and everything, but he seems to be doing better. Right? Not many people were thinking about that as a win or a loss on Friday night. A lot of people were just worried about him, but he did send out a message on social media saying, quote unquote, "I'm all good, man." And we've seen some more pictures of his teammates calling him. He is, he's talking, moving. So not what everyone feared at first. Dan Campbell came out after the game and said, he's breathing and we're seeing some movement. So, I mean, that to me is just like, oh, well, that's not necessarily a great thing. Like, people usually breathe and move anyways, but it seems like he is doing good. And I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't as bad as an injury as some people thought it would have been. He's one of our backup safeties. We might need him this season, and I just hope that he gets better and takes care of himself, and anyone in the league avoids an injury like that going forward, because that is just a devastating injury. And then finally, Tesla is continuing to impress. I think that was a big takeaway from this game as well. He connected with Kyle Allen in the end zone for a contested catch in the back corner. Awesome catch. Went right over the guy and just took it and then got both feet in. Awesome catch for a touchdown. Besides that, he had 2 receptions for 18 yards. Not anything crazy yards-wise or completions-wise, but all this is showing, to me at least, is that he's a reliable target. He's going to be a guy that we can rely on. and that's always good. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown says, your best ability is your availability. And as long as he can just be there and be the target we need him to be, I think that's good. He's right where he's getting his starting reps in still, just getting his rookie reps in. And I think he's eventually going to work that way up to that wide receiver 3 spot. But right now, he's just showing us, like, yeah, you guys drafted me for a reason. I'm going to come out and ball. And that's what he's been doing. So hopefully he gets more yards going forward and stuff like that. But he's absolutely a reliable target. He knows how to go up and grab the ball if he needs to. So Hendon Hooker, I don't know about you, buddy. Maurice Norris, I'm glad to see that you're doing better, man. And Tesla, keep balling out, dude. I'm glad we picked you up. Hometown hero, that stuff's awesome. So that's it for that. We're going to move into our second topic of the day. We are talking about some areas that the Lions should improve. And I know we've talked about this spread out between videos when we talk about different players and positions, but I just want to give, now that we've played this first game, I want to kind of see what we really need going into the regular season. So offensive tackle is one we talked about last time. Guys are getting older in those positions, especially Taylor Decker, and eventually want to move Sewell to left tackle where he's more comfortable. Time to start investing in that draft, right? Time to start looking for some right tackles, maybe draft a center who's an actual center, and then we'll go back to that like elite offensive line, because now everyone's in the spot they want to be in. Graham Glasgow can go back to guard. I think that's would make us elite, right? And not that we're not already elite, but I think this would honestly make us just like that step up where everyone is where they want to be, instead of, okay, I'll move here because we need someone here, or any of that. I think honestly we're just going to have to look in the draft. We've talked about some guys before, but offensive tackle is definitely something to look at. Defensive back, that corner spot, of course, with Rakestraw being out indefinitely now, and we got an improved defensive back core this year, but now there's some concerns with the depth, which is just like, of course. This was a problem last year, of course, and it was one of the Lions' biggest problems for the last few years, was just, man coverage, having guys out there who can get the job done. But now having that next guy up mentality is going to be huge, because we have some dogs in those positions. Meek Robertson, DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold, right? We have some dogs now, but now we need to make sure, if for some reason they get injured, we're not just, we're just screwed now. I think that's a big thing to look at. I think we should definitely look for defensive backs going forward, even though that has been one of our big focuses. We just need more depth guys. And we need to make sure guys aren't getting hurt in practice, first and foremost. And then safety is another one I want to talk about. We have two of the best in the league. With Joseph and Branch, they're two of the best in the leagues, but their backups aren't anything insane. Maurice Norris, who we talked about, now that he's injured, there's some questions on whether or not he's going to be able to go and perform when we need him to, if we need him to, right? And Lauren Strickland, who is just an undrafted free agent 2024, so not much of a resume there in the NFL. Like, safeties, they're great and they're fantastic, but again, if for some reason one gets hurt, what's going to happen at the safety position? Are we just going to get fried in the passing defense game? I have no idea. That is what I'm scared about, and I think we should actually start looking for safeties as well. The Ravens kind of got away with one and grabbed the best safety in the draft just because they could. And I'm thinking, oh man, we may need a guy like that. Might need a guy to step up, and not necessarily that we need to draft a guy that high when we have these two players, but we definitely need some more depth pieces, some older guys, maybe some vets, people to step in and just get it done when we need them to. And that just seems to be one that I want to look for right now. And then finally, edge rushing. We've talked about that a ton. Marcus Davenport's injury prone. If he goes out, it's going to be another, oh geez, what do we do now kind of situation. We've talked about it before. We've talked about possible signings. I think Matthew Judon needs to come back to Michigan and just get stuff done for a year, but that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about these positions. What right now is the biggest number one for you guys in terms of looking next year, looking for this season? What do we need to throw most of our resources into in terms of position? Let me know down in the comments, and then we're going to move into our third topic of the day. We are talking about a new signing. So it's not a splash or anything like that, but I like to talk about these signings because they're definitely interesting, and it's definitely, you never know who's going to have a breakout and be the next guy, right? So the Lions are signing running back Deion Jackson. The veteran has played for 3 teams since debuting for the Indianapolis Colts in 2021. Jackson played in the NFL in 2023. He had stints with the Colts, the Browns, the Giants, and then last year in the UFL, he finished 3rd in rushing yards. So solid. He's known for being a versatile back. He's got strong hands, he's good for strong runs in the UFL, and he experienced both rushing and receiving roles as well. So, hey, he kind of fits into that receiving game we are starting to get into a lot more. He excels in finding open field and just kind of taking advantage of it. Once he's in that open field, he can break out for huge runs. He's good at making decisive cuts on those one-on-one scenarios, and he showcases that with that receiving ability, he does have strong hands. The only problem, and I say strong hands, his only real issues have been consistency, right? He'll have like a great stretch of games and then all of a sudden we won't hear from him again for the rest of the season. And he's also had some issues with fumbling in the past. So while he's got strong hands receiving, when he's carrying the ball, he tends to fumble once in a while, which is not good if you're a running back. That's not what we need out of a running back. But I think it's definitely interesting. With his big season was with the Colts in 2022. He had 68 rushing attempts for 236 yards, 3.5 yards average a carry. He had a touchdown and 30 receptions. So, nothing, again, the stats aren't like a splash. They're nothing insane. They're nothing crazy. But it's a depth piece guy. Maybe he goes on special teams and does something great for us. And it's always good to have depth because we were just talking about positions we absolutely need depth in. I think this guy could definitely be just sit on the bench, come in when we need you to kind of guy, play on special teams kind of guy. And since he's got that veteran experience, he can help up some of the younger dudes too, teach them a little bit, teach them maybe how to be a versatile back with the receiving. Now that that's kind of being our new thing. I don't think this is anything insane for you guys. I don't think we're going to see him a whole lot this year, but I definitely think this is just driving the point home that the UFL can be used to pick up guys who knows, they could be the next breakout. I think that's exciting to look at. I also think the fact that he's a hybrid running back is very, good for our team in the way that we're going offensively. And I think this is a cool signing. Let me know what you guys think. Is this just going to be a whatever, one and done? We won't ever hear from him again? Or is he going to end up getting some stuff done for us? Maybe special teams, maybe in that backup position. Let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to hear your opinions on this one. And finally, we're going to move on to you guys when we're discussing some of your comments. I love doing this. You guys had some good ones for me this time. Starting with Detroit Lions fan since 95 said, as good of a player as Wilkins is, we care more about culture. Talent or less, we would have Jalen Carter. I'm more worried about the culture and walking Mrs. Martha Ford to church and looking good for the culture than we have talented players worried about culture. Cultures is what we're after and what we're trying to win in the 2025 culture. Championship is all about culture, not talent. So culture, big fan of culture. Sure, I agree and disagree with you on this one. I think absolutely the big part of why the Lions had a big change and why we are where we are now is because of that culture change that Dan Campbell brought. But I don't necessarily think culture is everything, right? Talent absolutely has a role, and you can have good culture and talent at the same time. I think, you know, the whole thing with culture was we were getting these bargain bin guys that really fit the gritty mold. And now we need to start looking for guys who maybe have that raw talent, because now that we've changed a little bit, we can bring guys in who are just ballers, right? That's just my opinion. I don't think necessarily, like you guys said, Wilkins might not be the greatest option just because of what's surrounding him right now. But I agree with what you're saying with how culture is very important to us, and bringing a guy in like that maybe would be a distraction for us in a season where we're trying to just jump ahead and get stuff done. Totally understand there. So thank you for your comment, Detroit Lions fan since 95. Appreciate your comment. Keep doing that. I'd love to see what you guys say. Next, we have Thomas Donor. They said, I wish each of the NFL teams would support the USFL 6-game season and playoffs, use it as a minor league. And I kind of feel like the USFL is already kind of like a minor league in a way, right? It's not like officially, but the way they operate is almost like a minor league, pulling these guys up. Like Jake Bates got the opportunity, and now he's our number one kicker. So I see what you're saying, and I totally agree. I think we honestly, if they invested kind of like what baseball does, where they have all their minor league teams and they pull guys up, that would be really cool to see, because we'd see a lot more rotations. Guys that we liked in college that we knew wouldn't go to the NFL right away, maybe they end up getting their chance, and we can watch them a little bit. Totally understand what you're saying. I think that's a great idea, and hopefully that happens in the next few years. Not sure if it will, though. The NFL is the NFL. So thank you for your comment, Thomas. We're gonna move on to our final one. John in Nashville says, I think the Wilkins kissing incident sounds like a little more than a one-time thing. I don't think many teams want to take on that side of things. And this part I do agree with. Detroit Lions fan since 95 has already kind of started this, but yeah, you guys were very not super supportive of the Wilkins pickup, which I totally understand. I think it was just interesting to talk about, especially because, we could use a defensive tackle. But, right, this thing surrounding him right now would definitely be a distraction to us, and I know we want to focus more on the side of just getting stuff done, going in. So, yeah, most teams probably won't take a look at him. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think he's going to get on a team before the regular season starts? And if so, what team's going to take a chance on him? What team is desperate enough to kind of need a defensive tackle surrounded by all this controversy right now? I'm honestly genuinely surprised. not surprised, but interested in what's going to happen with him, with a guy of his talents. But thank you, John in Nashville. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate all your guys' comments. I always pick and I look at all of them, and I really appreciate everything you guys say. But that being said, we are out of time today. Thank you so much for watching Lions Latest. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. If you made it to this point of the video, what's the big position that we think we need depth in right now? Let me know what you guys think and what guys we should start looking for in the next draft. But with that being said, make sure you ring the bell. Never, ever miss a video here on Lions Latest. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.